we are now understanding that the heart gives more signals to the brain than the brain ever does. And people don't understand that if we live from a heart space, life has so much more meaning and purpose. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, especially with the clinical side plus the spiritual and the physical, emotional, mental side of things?
Oh, absolutely. Happy to do that. And I can even use myself as the example and the story, because up until about 10 years ago, I was living life, what I thought to be the right way, successful, what, Matrix considers to be successful, super busy, the mom of 2 girls, married to my husband, and, really serving in what I thought was the right way, taking care of patients with heart disease. But really what was happening is I was literally living life on a survival mode. I was running around, doing, trying to meet all the needs of everyone, trying to do all the stuff and not realizing that I was operating from all kinds of patterns that were completely unconscious to me. I was just operating like a robot in survival, perfectionism, workaholism, overachiever, yes sayer, people pleaser, putting all this pressure and demands on me. And I was just living my life like that. I thought that was the norm. And that's what successful meant. And meanwhile, I wasn't facing like what was really going on, like what my truth was. And I used to use running, the exercise running, as my numbing agent, but really what I would like, so I wouldn't let any emotions, I wouldn't let any feelings, if anything would come up, I would just run. And so I can keep going in that kind of life. And now realizing that I was actually running away from facing my truth, myself, my feelings. And then what happened to me 10 years back is that I had an injury, a severe back pain, severe pain. I really literally was no longer able to walk when I went on a run. And that left me in just like complete confusion. I had all these emotions, I had all these feelings. It ended up evolving into some kind of a crisis. Why is just not being able to run created a crisis for me? And then that led into this existential crisis of like, I realized like life was helping me, even though I thought it was the worst thing that could happen to me. It was actually the best thing because here I was like healing other people's hearts, but I really hadn't healed mine and I really hadn't connected to mine. And so I realized like life brought me to a place to stop running and doing and to start being. And I brought all my energy and focus to myself. And that's where I started. And the realizations that I had for my spiritual path is what I use now as the work that I do, which is that I had realized that it was a wake-up call because I was living life completely inauthentically. I was living life as an expression of all kinds of unconscious default patterns that we adopt, that we from society, culture, family, ancestral generations, and, unconscious beliefs and patterns and unhealed wounds operating at the level of the survival pathway, and all of them tracing back to some element of not enoughness, not worthiness, and it's because stuff happens in all of us in childhood where we separate from our heart. We think it's not safe to be us. And so we go to the head, we live life like that to feel safe, and not realizing that all of that stuff is suppressing ourselves, is actually taking us completely away from our true path. And so then I went into the path of like, well, what does it mean to be me? What does that even mean? What is my truth? What is my heart? What is my purpose? What is my vitality? So then the whole process of like feeling, and the heart feels, the mind thinks, the heart feels, and really started feeling, wow, this is who I am. And it's coming to the present, it's coming to the moment, it's accepting, it's expanding. And then realizing that that's where life is at, living life from that space as an expression, as a being of the truth and the love, that I am not going outside to fill up from the outside the illusion of void on the inside, but rather to live life as the expression of who I really am and live in that alignment and that truth. And this is what I do with patients and in the work, and with the heart intelligence work that we do, is like really kind of to bring people back to their heart and remember, feel who they are and live life from that space. So much of the problems and the stress is from that disconnection that happens. And there's all this science, but I'll pause there.